Green Bay Packers wouldn't be much. The man is sensational. He's completed 69% of his passes, 36 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, just in case. And I don't say that for you, for your edification, Max Kellerman. I say that for the Green Bay Packers. I just want to know, as an organization, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel that we just learned the other day that when Aaron Rodgers threw to Tavon Austin, it was the first time he had thrown 2 passes. It was the first time he had thrown to a first-round draft pick at the wide receiver spot in his career. I just want to know how that feels. Think about that. Let's put that in its proper perspective. Aaron Rodgers, arguably the greatest quarterback from a talent perspective, arguably the greatest quarterback we have ever seen in NFL history this side of Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers, just the other week, threw a couple of passes to Tavon Austin. Tom Brady's got over 600 passes or something in his career, along with a bevy of others, Drew Brees and others, Matt Ryan too. Aaron Rodgers, just the other day, after all of these years in the league, been in the league since 2005, Aaron Rodgers just the other day threw a pass to a first-round wide receiver. That is just disgraceful. You're the Green Bay Packers, and you want to draft his successor. So Aaron Rodgers has put it on the show this year, reminding us all how sensational, how much of a bad man he is. He is reminding us, he is putting it on display. And even though Aaron Jones can run the football and Devontae Adams is a stud, guess what? They ain't Tyreek Hill. They ain't Travis Kelce. And a combination of Hill, Kelce, McCole Hardman and Sammy Watkins and those boys. Oh, with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Oh, no, it's a different animal. Aaron Rodgers is working with considerably less. No disrespect to those brothers, Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, because they could play. But I'm just saying, it's with considerably less than the Kansas City Chiefs have at their arsenal. Without Aaron Rodgers, the only thing we'd be talking about in Wisconsin, other than the Greek Freak, is cheese. Nothing else. Aaron Rodgers, more valuable than Mahomes to his particular team. Yes.
Well, I mean, look, these are the 2 best guys I've ever seen. I think if I have to choose between them, I think the edge goes to Mahomes. I'm not saying it's not close. Aaron Rodgers can do just like, if you want to say, what can Mahomes do that Aaron Rodgers can't do? Aaron Rodgers can do all the stuff Mahomes can do. Mahomes looks a little bit stronger than Rodgers physically. Maybe can, running they can both move, but just Mahomes looks a little stronger. And Mahomes has more of that rah-rah gunslinger stuff that teams seem to respond to. With Rodgers, is there tension between this guy and Rodgers? What about Favre and Rodgers, right, coming in? You don't hear that with Mahomes. With Mahomes, you hear his teammates love him. And that may be the difference. These types of arguments, who's more valuable to their team, usually boil down to who has the worst team. So you pick the guy whose teammates aren't as good as the other guys and say, aha, since his teammates aren't as good, he's more valuable to his team. You can make that argument, but I prefer this one. When you have a great team around you, what quarterback gives you the premium over everyone else? Not only making all the plays and messing up less than anyone else, not turning the ball over. I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes' touchdown to interception ratio for his career, let alone this year. But making all the special plays, right? Who can do that when it matters most? Rodgers been in the league a long time, been on some great teams, has 1 Super Bowl win for it, which is great. And his team has let him down his franchise has let him down in terms of surrounding him with the best talent. Mahomes came in the league. It's not his fault. He had great teammates. But Stephen A., 50 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, MVP, lost in the AFC Championship game because they took the win away and wouldn't let him touch the ball again. So he comes back the next year and wins Super Bowl MVP, improves his touchdown-interception ratio, does it again this year, improves touchdown-interception ratio again, hasn't gotten to the playoffs yet. But Stephen A., in the playoffs for his career, he's 3-1, should be 4-0 because of the AFC Championship game I just mentioned, right? Or is it 5-1 now? At any rate, what is it? How many touchdowns to 0 interceptions? He's even better when you need him most.
In a spot where he would be making his first career start at home against a Saints team that has won 9 in a row and is the hottest team in the NFC. That would be an interesting spot to not put him in the third quarter after your starter is struggling, but put him in from snap 1, moment 1. Doug Peterson non-committal on his starter when the Saints come to Philly on Sunday.
Why is that always such a big deal when you go to play somebody? It's the opponent that they're playing. Why would you want to play him against the Saints? Doesn't matter. It's still a football team. It doesn't matter if it's the Saints or if it's the worst team. If it's the New York Jets, he's got to play.
But here's the argument from the fan perspective. You just heard that on 94 WIP, by the way. And that would simply be there's a crisis of confidence with the other guy. And the idea is if you put a young guy in and the Saints, who winners of 9 in a row, were coming at him, that might ruin his confidence if he doesn't play well from the start. Jay disagrees. The only reason I'm saying that is the other guy was pulled because he has lost all of his confidence.
Well, that's on him. That's his confidence. That's him in his makeup. Jalen Hurts has never, ever, as long as I've been knowing the kid, when he was in high school all through Alabama and at Oklahoma, he's never, ever displayed to me at all a lack of confidence. At all. Even when he lost the starting job to Tua, no confidence was shaken whatsoever. So it's just funny all the time when I hear people say that, though, Jay. No. Like, we don't want to start him against Pittsburgh on a short week because they're going to do this to him. Okay, they're going to try to do it to him. What if he was the starter at the beginning of the season? His first snap as a quarterback in the National Football League. Same thing. It's the same thing, Z.
My best experiences in life have been when I got thrown into the fire. Just throw me into the fire.
Yes.
You don't need to ease me into anything.
No.
Let me figure it out. I'll make my mistakes, but I much rather make my mistakes by feeling out and gaining that experience. Look, Jalen Hurts should be the starter, but everything that Doug Peterson has shown me over his time as a head coach, everything that he said about Carson Wentz will let me know that he probably won't be the starter, that he'll probably play a lot more, but I don't think Doug Peterson is just willing to let Carson Wentz lose the quote-unquote confidence that you said quarterbacks are so fragile with. I don't understand that. I don't know why Jalen Hurts isn't the starter, and I know you're going to say follow the money. It's always about following the money, but it has to get to a certain point where Doug Peterson needs to have a conversation with himself in the mirror and say, we have nothing to lose by just starting Jalen Hurts and letting him play a full game.
Well,
Let him play one full game and see what happens.
Last week before, I said that this would probably be right around now, the Green Bay game. See where Carson Wentz is at, where it goes. They made the decision to pull Carson Wentz. Now that you made the decision to pull Carson Wentz, what I would do is now I'm starting Jalen Hurts, and we're going to finish the season with Jalen Hurts. And I know it's a lot of money. Now we're going to have a quarterback competition next offseason and into the season during training camp. That's the way I would set it up. And I think Doug Peterson, I would be shocked if Doug Peterson goes back to Carson Wentz, because what you've now shown the team is that you do have a guy in Jalen Hurts that you have confidence in because he's shown you some things, leading the charge. He was 5 of 12 for 100, a little bit over 100 yards, a touchdown, and a little bit of an interception. That's okay. We can fix that, but we got to give him time to be able to do it. And I think that's what you do. I think you start him this week against the Saints, and then you see where it goes from there. And come the offseason, there's an open quarterback competition.
I love this, Zubin, because I just want to see how Carson Wentz responds, right? Like, never lead a life of complacency. Like, don't be complacent. So if Carson Wentz is complacent, it's easy for Carson Wentz to say, you know what, I can sit here and I can quibble and I can complain and Jalen Hurts got my spot. I got my money. I don't care. Then that's fine. You find out who Carson Wentz is. This is a good challenge for him. Let him respond. And there's going to be a time, I'm telling you, in the next couple of games, 4 or 5 weeks, where Jalen Hurts makes a mistake and Carson Wentz will find himself back on the field. If he does, if Doug Peterson actually goes to Jalen Hurts, which I don't think he will. So make the most of it. Let's compete.
Yeah, and what you can't do to the rest of the team is you can't play the Carson Wentz game. I'm going to start him, then I'm going to yank him out again. I'm going to start him, I'm going to yank him out again, because the team feels right now, and they feel like we had a better chance to win with Jalen Hurts for 4 quarters. Look what he did in a short period of time, an amount of time that we gave him. He showed up. I mean, he really did. He did some good stuff, running the ball, changing some plays at the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's got some work, but a full week of practice and preparation with the ones and not necessarily rotating snaps, but taking the majority of snaps will certainly get the attention of the rest of the team.
It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Real quick, straight to the point. This question asked pointedly to Carson Wentz.
Do you think you should be the starter?
Listen, that's not for me. I know what I'm capable of. I know I can play better. I never have doubted myself or lost my confidence in my abilities. But, like I said, a lot of these things are outside of my control.
See, that's first thing I gotta say is I am the starter until somebody tells me something different. That's what I would have said.
Well, let me ask you this. By the way, Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise there for Wentz, straight to the point. Let me ask you this. Doug Peterson said a couple of weeks ago, the reason I can't move Wentz for Hurts is because it would be sending, quote unquote, the wrong message to the team. But isn't sending the right message if you're massively struggling at the most important position on the field? I can't keep you out there.
But that was a couple weeks ago, Z. Yesterday, he pulled him. What's the difference in the message? If you're Doug Peterson, you're saying it's going to send the wrong message. I can't. You just did by pulling him.